When people imagine life in France, they usually think about the big things, the food, the scenery, the lifestyle. But after living here for a while, I realized something unexpected. It's not the big things that shape everyday life, it's the little details. Today, I want to share a few of those small, everyday things about life here in France that I have never expected to appreciate as much as I do. Bonjour and welcome back to Simple Life in the South of France. If you are new here, I'm Gabi and I've been living in the Languedoc region of France just over a year now. And what I'm sharing today, it isn't a guide or a list of advice. Some of the things are practical, some are comforting, and some are just simple details of everyday life. But together, they say a lot about how everyday life is structured here. If you have ever dealt with French paperwork, you know how overwhelming it can feel, especially if you didn't grow up here or you're still learning a language. Forms, letters, applications. It is very easy to feel lost. I remember sitting at home one morning, surrounded by paperwork and genuinely not knowing where to start. It is very difficult. So you can imagine my surprise and relief when I discovered a free public service called French Services. These offices exist all over the country and they help people with administrative tasks, paperwork, applications, understanding systems. You can usually just walk in without an appointment. We used them a few times and they were brilliant. And it's not just that they help you complete administrative tasks, however that's a big one too, to be honest, but it's also how the help was given. They explain things calmly, step by step, without rushing, and without making us feel like we should already know everything. There was no judgment, just support. And that feeling of being allowed to ask questions and take your time removes a lot of stress from everyday life. Also, it felt very matter of fact, like help is simply part of how things work here. I've added their website in the description in case you are looking for support with something similar. Another thing that genuinely surprised me is the quality of meals children are given at nursery or school. And even if you don't have children, I think this says a lot about daily life here. In France, school lunches are considered part of education. Children sit together. They eat slowly. They are encouraged to taste everything without pressure to finish their plate. This is an example of a monthly menu from my daughter's maternelle. Each lunch usually includes 4 or 5 small courses. A starter, a main dish with meat, fish or a vegetarian option, a side, a dairy product, and fruit or dessert. Many ingredients are organic and some are locally sourced. It's not about perfection, but about consistency and care. What reassured me the most is that these are real meals, made with real ingredients, served every single day. And that calm, everyday relationship with food, repeated over time, quietly shapes habits without anyone making a big deal out of it. One of the biggest differences I noticed here, especially in villages, is a general sense of trust. It's not dramatic, you notice this in small moments, especially with children. Children are expected to sit at the table, to wait, to observe, and to be part of what's happening rather than constantly being entertained. Outdoors, children of different ages naturally play together. Adults don't rush in straight away. There is a quiet assumption that children are capable. When we moved here, my daughter was only 3 years old, and one afternoon we were playing by the river and these older kids come over and invited her to play. They did this without anybody asking them to do so. They just simply looked out for her and they went off and they had a fantastic afternoon. And this was such a small moment, but it really stayed with me. It doesn't feel like children are given unlimited freedom. It feels more like they are trusted to learn by observing, by trying, and by being part of everyday life. That sense of trust is part of a wider network of quiet community support here. And one example of this is Petit à Petit. Petit à Petit is an association for children and parents. They travel between villages and set up temporary play spaces for young children and their parents. There is no sign up, no cost, and no pressure to come every week. People just arrive, stay for a while, and leave when it feels right. Children can play, draw, climb, or just simply observe what's going around them. And parents can sit, chat, play with their little ones, or just simply watch them. Nothing feels rushed, and no one seems to be checking whether you are doing this the right way. And the people running these sessions are present, but not intrusive. They step in when needed and step back when it's not. It feels less like an organized activity and more like a space that exists to support people. And once you experience something like that, you realize how rare it actually is. Something else I really noticed here is how many everyday experiences here don't evolve around spending money. Local events, community afternoons, or simple outing. Often they are just there to be enjoyed. There is no pressure to buy, no pressure to rush, no feeling that you need to make the most of it. Just being there feels enough. And this changing the rhythm of everyday life. And once you notice this, it's difficult not to wonder why daily life elsewhere often feels so transactional. This last one is a small one, but I really love it, and I only just discovered this a few months ago. So France has something called vide-greniers, which are basically free markets or garage sales, and they have them pretty much every single weekend between May and November, and they are amazing. You can find toys, clothes, books, kitchen items, pretty much anything, and sometimes really beautiful things as well, for very little money. It's social, sustainable, and relaxed. For us, it has become a simple weekend habit. It feels less like shopping and more like a shared ritual. On this website, you can find all vide-greniers in your area, and if you do decide to go, I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do. When I think about all of these things together, I realize how much they shape everyday life here. Not in big obvious ways, but slowly over time. Of course, life here isn't perfect either. There are things are still find frustrating and other things are genuinely difficult. I don't want to romanticize it. But these small details quietly shape how our days feels, especially on days that are just normal. When people talk about moving countries, the focus usually on big decisions like where do you live, where do you work, what is the transport like, and so on. And don't get me wrong, those are really important and they affect your life in real ways. But I think it's just as important to look at the ordinary days behind those big decisions. Because when you move countries, it's not always the big moments that define the experience. It's how life feels on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. At the beginning, everything feels unfamiliar and slightly exhausting. You are most likely just trying to understand how things work and get through the day. It took time before these small details started to stand out to me, and I think that's because you just need to settle into normal life before you can even see them. Not when everything feels exciting or overwhelming, but when you've settled into your normal routine. And over time, these small everyday moments become part of why life feels so different here. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Au revoir!